Today I'm going to show you how I teach my horses how to bow. I'll show 3 different ways and you can decide what will work best for your horse. Regardless of the method you choose, your horse really needs to have a soft backup. This step is essential and it's really important not to forget or ignore it. You should be able to walk into your horse with a little bit of energy and your horse should be backing up with you. If you have a horse that gets stuck, use your lead rope and bump on the halter as you pull the lead rope towards the horse's chest. Don't hold a constant pressure because that's more asking the horse to stop than back up. I really want you to be able to just walk towards your horse and have them back up without lead rope pressure eventually. Another technique to get the backup really soft is to teach your horse to send back. I won't get too in depth on this, but make sure you sequence your cues and follow through. The goal is to have your horse back up with the slightest idea of it coming from you. The reason the backup is so important is because your horse really needs to move their hind end out of the way to make room for their bowing leg to go down. They need to stretch out their hind feet so they don't get squished together underneath themselves. After your backup is really soft, you need to make sure your horse is comfortable with their legs being touched, held, and moved around. If your horse is fighting you, please work on just picking up your horse's hooves first. 2 of these ways to teach the bow can sometimes cause your horse to try to bow just when you lift their foot once they learn this trick. Make sure you're really specific in your cue when you want your horse to bow so they don't try to bow when you just want to pick out their hoof. After your horse is comfortable with their leg being touched all over, you can start asking your horse to lean back. This is the 3rd step and the split of the methods. For this first one, hold the leg. I find it easier when I face my horse's head rather than looking back as if I were to pick out their hoof. Put your second hand, that's still holding the lead rope, near the top of the horse's leg closer to the shoulder. Squeeze your hand while also adding pressure to the lead for your horse to back up. As soon as your horse rocks back the slightest, release and let them have their leg back. You'll keep encouraging your horse to rock back more and more until their knee touches the ground, then give them a big reward. This can be scary for horses at first, having their leg up and learning to rock back but not jump away from it. So you'll have to have a little bit of patience for this trick just to show your horse that it's okay and that they can have one leg lifted as they back up. You are welcome to use positive reinforcement if you'd like, but please bring the treat to your horse. Don't let your horse mug you. These tricks are all achievable without treats. I taught them without treats. You don't need to use them. You're definitely welcome to use positive reinforcement if that's the method you use. That's the first method, hand on the upper leg squeezing and pulling back to get your horse to rock back. The next method is with a rope. This is very similar to the above method, but for horses that really want to fight you as you ask them to back up while holding their leg. This rope gives extra leverage and makes it easier to hold their leg up. Some horses are really nervous about holding their leg up and backing up until they do it once. I'm also going to say this method I recommend least because it can get a little ranchy. I think it's important to lead your horses by their feet anyways, but that's just because I train for more than just tricks. Anyways, with this method, you'll be able to get the bow on day 1. Take a nice thick rope, place it around your horse's leg, toss it over their back, bring it back underneath the horse in front of the rope. Pause the video to see the exact way the rope is on. You're going to lift up the leg with the rope, hold, and then ask your horse to back up with their lead rope on their halter. As soon as your horse rocks back or bows, release the pressure on both ropes and let your horse have their leg back. The last method doesn't involve any muscles. The backup is most important for this. You need to get your horse backing up really soft and then tap your horse's leg. My cue is right above the knee, but you can put your cue wherever you would like to. You want your horse to snatch their leg up while still asking them to back up. This technique may take a little longer to teach, but it's a much more finished bow when you've taught it, and you won't have to transfer it to a new cue. Again, reward at the little tries once your horse rocks back with a foot in the air at the start. This technique is a little bit more difficult to describe through a video. It's a lot easier in person, and a lot of it is feel. You really need to have a good idea on when to release and reward for this method. This method is completely doable at Liberty if you choose to teach it that way.
Good. Good. Good boy. Good, thanks. Ew. Good. Okay, so those were just 3 ways that you could teach the bow. You can teach it through doing the backup, which is how I taught links. You can teach it through picking up the leg and pulling back, or you could teach it with the rope. If you have one that fights a lot, it can be hard at the beginning to hold that foot up as you're trying to back them up. They'll tend to paw forward or jump up, and the rope kind of helps make it easier to keep the foot up that way, which I already explained. But those are just 3 different ways you can use. If you do it through the backup, you could do that completely at Liberty with no halter on. It's really up to you. Every horse is different, they'll respond differently. Some of them won't get it through the Liberty backup way. And the most important thing to remember is getting that backup really soft to make sure your horse's hind legs park out far enough back. That way your horse has room to go down and bow into. Thanks for watching. I know this is my first how-to video in quite a while, but hopefully this is a little bit helpful for those of you wondering how I teach the bow.